Day 71, Financial Algebra. Today, following the video that you're watching now, excuse me, you'll be able to complete the classroom work or homework problems 2, 3, 5, 7, 13, 14, 15, and 16 from page 461 in your textbook. So at the conclusion of this video, please get started on that here in class. Today, we're talking about pensions. If you recall, a pension is a retirement benefit in which a company pays for your income after you're done working for them. So in a lot of these exercises today, you'll see information like this. For example, in number 1, George spent 30 years working at the same motor company. Kevin, in this case, worked 25 years at the same company. So pensions aren't real common anymore, although they are still popular and common for government employees, school teachers, those that work for the state or the federal government, those that work in police and fire departments, as well as the United States military do receive pensions. For our discussion, we're going to see basically two different types of pensions. One's called a flat retirement benefit, where you simply take the number of years that you've worked, the number of years of service, times some set annual amount. That's the easiest retirement benefit to calculate. But there's also a pension called a multiplier retirement benefit. That's where you take an average salary of a certain number of years of service and multiply it by a calculated percent multiplier. So rather than just multiplying the number of years you worked by a particular number, this one factors in the amount of money that you are making in your job to help make this pension a little bit more equitable. So we'll take a look at example 1 first. George is retiring after 30 years at Peabody Motors. The company offers him a flat yearly retirement benefit of $870 for each year of service. So that's really the important stuff. We're dealing with a flat calculation, and we know he's going to receive $870 for each year that he served that company. Now, these pensions can be calculated in an annual amount, or they could be calculated in a monthly amount. This calculation here actually provides us our monthly pension. So for every year that George worked, he receives $870. Now, he worked 30 years, so 30 years times 870. Let's see, 30 times $870 is a pension of $26,100. Now, this number doesn't seem very realistic for a monthly amount, so this is most likely an annual salary. So $26,100 per year. If we were to determine his monthly pension, we could take this number and divide that by 12. So this number divided by 12 leaves us with a monthly pension of $2,175. So George will receive just over $2,000 every month until he dies in his pension from the Peabody Motor Company. That's one benefit for working for this company for so long. In example 2, Kevin's retiring after 25 years of employment, and in the last 3 years, these are his salary amounts. Now, we look at that because his employer has a defined benefit plan, and it's defined as the annual pension. The amount that Kevin will receive per year is based on the product, or multiplying together the final 3-year average salary. So we need the last 3 years that he worked. We'll calculate that average salary. We also need the number of years of service, which was 25, and we'll multiply that by 2.25%. So to find the average salary, we'll add $132,000 with $135,000 and $138,000. Since there are 3 years of data here, we'll divide that total by 3. And here's the sum total, $405,000 divided by 3 years is $135. So the average that he made during the last 3 years that he worked was $135,000. Since the pension is determined from this average salary, $135,000, average salary times the number of years of service, he had 25 years of service, times our percentage multiplier. Note we have to write the percent as a decimal. It's the product or the result of these multiplications that tell us how much money that Kevin will receive in his retirement. So 135,000 times the 25 years of service times the multiplier of 0.0225 is 75,937.5. 75,937.5. Or in other words, the pension, the amount that he receives per year, is $75,937.50. If we wanted to take this just a little bit further, we can divide this number by 12, and this will tell us what his monthly pension would be. Or in other words, $6,328, and I believe that was 13 cents. Yeah, rounded to 13 cents per month. Not too bad. Now we look at the problems on the backside. Frank worked for Morton Industries for 18 years. His company offered him a flat amount of $48 per year of service. Now, these two numbers determine a monthly pension package. So this is not an annual number. These two multiplied together to give him his monthly package. So since this is a flat amount, a flat retirement benefit, the benefit is really that easy to calculate. The benefit is equal to the years of service times the multiplier. So let's calculate that first. When he retires, the benefit is equal to 18 years times $48. So 18 times 48 tells me that at retirement he's going to receive $864 per month. Now what's interesting here is that after a year of retirement, he was notified that he was going to receive a 1.625% cost of living adjustment. Now you might see that cost of living adjustment elsewhere in the book or in our homework, and it's abbreviated as COLA, cost of living adjustment. That's an acronym we sometimes use for that. All that this means is that when he retired, he's receiving $864 a month, but periodically, every now and again, this pension will increase to keep up with inflation. So with this adjustment, we need to modify how much money per month his benefit will now be. So the way we do that is after the cost of living adjustment, we take the monthly pension benefit. So we'll take the benefit and multiply it by 1 plus the rate. So 1 plus the rate, this will tell us what our new benefit would be after the cost of living adjustment. So in this case, $864 times 1 plus the interest rate. Now, I'll go ahead and do the math here together because the interest rate is 0.01625. I'll just write this as 1.01625. That'll save our calculations a little bit. And it looks like 864 times 1.01625 is equal to 878.04. After the cost of living adjustment, he's now going to receive $878.04 per month. In this next example, we see that Depot City uses a final average formula to calculate employees' pension benefits. So this won't be as simple as our flat benefit package. Now the amount that we use in the calculation is the salary average of the final 5 years. So we need 5 years of data to find the average of. The retiree, the person who's going to retire, will receive an annual benefit, so this is an annual amount, equivalent to 1.2% of that average for each, I repeat, for each year of employment. Thelma is retiring at the end of this year after 23 years of employment at Depot City. So we can calculate her retirement pension now that we see how much she made during her last 5 years of work. So first things first, let's get the average of these two, or of these 5 numbers. Please pause the video and find the average now. And you should have found that the average salary for the last 5 years is $63,900. Her benefit, and this is an annual benefit, her benefit is equal to 1.2% of the average, so $63,900 times 1.2%, as a decimal it looks like 0.012, for each year that she worked, and she worked 23 years. So the product of these 3 numbers appears to be $17,636.40. $17,636.40. This is her annual benefit. And if we wanted, we could turn this into a monthly benefit as well. But the problem didn't ask for that, so we'll stop here. All right, so this final example is kind of an interesting one and has to deal with this thing called vesting percentage. Now, what that means is that a benefit that an employer offers is dependent upon how much time you spend with the company. In this particular case, if you only work 1 or 2 years, then your employer is not going to vest or invest that much in you. You don't get to take that much of the benefit with you. In this case, you get 0%. If you only work 3 to 10 years, you'll get a 25% vesting percentage. Between 10 and 15, you get 45, and so on. It's not until you put 30 years of work in that you receive 100% of your defined contribution pension. So this is kind of how school teachers work. If I were to make it to, I think in my case it's 35 years, I'll get 70% of my average 3 years salary. And if I work to 40 years, that number might jump to 80% or 85%, and so on. So that's kind of like what I'm facing here. Let's see if we can work through this problem. In this case, Singh's employer matches 75 cents on the dollar. So that means 75% of what Singh invests, his employer will also contribute into a pension system or into a retirement plan. After 16 years of working, Singh decides to move to a different state and therefore withdraw his money from this pension plan. Now, his personal contributions amount to $25,000. Let's see if we can figure out how much of his pension he'll be able to take with him. Now, something worth noting here is that since he put in $25,000, he can take all of his money. He can take all of his contributions. And in this case, that's $25,000. Okay, so he gets to take at least $25,000 with him because that's what he contributed to the system. And his employer contributed 75% of what he contributed. And the vesting percentage for 16 years falls in this category. So he'll get to keep 70% of what the employer contributed. So he can take all of his contributions, but only a portion of the employer contributions. And this is the business's way of trying to get their employees to stay longer with the company rather than moving around. So let's find out how much that was. Now, Singh put in $25,000 of his own money in the investment, but his company matched 75% of that, or 75 cents on the dollar. And according to his pension level, or his vesting percentage, he can keep 70% of that number. So 25,000 times 75% times 70%, 25,000 times 75% times 70% is $13,125. $13,125 that he can take from this pension system. Now, if you put that number with the $25,000 that he invested personally, he can take $38,000 with him as he moves to his new state. 25,000 plus the 13,125 means he can take $38,125 with him as he leaves the company. So that'll do it for this video. These types of problems, these practice problems, should help you with the assignment for today. Please make sure that you submit that before you leave, or if you're not finished completely before you leave, turn it in first thing when we come into class on Wednesday. If you need any help, please feel free to email me, and I'll try to respond to those throughout the day. Thanks.